Okay, I guess we're recording. I guess we're live. This is Craig Shipp. CraigShipp.com is my website, and this is another little how-to video. And we're shooting a screencast of my main monitor here in the middle, and you're able to also see me work with the little video screen in the bottom right-hand corner. So, I'm going to talk about Twitter. And Twitter is probably my second favorite service on the internet next to Gmail. Just Gmail might be more favorite just because I've been using it longer. Twitter is fantastic. Twitter is how I get all of my news and information. I don't watch mainstream media anymore. I don't watch Fox News. I don't watch CNN. Don't fool around with any of that stuff because I feel that I get better information generally direct from a source, or even if it's not direct, I get it from a trusted source that the information is less indirect than if I was watching the mainstream media. So, without further ado, let's go into how this works. I'm at twitter.com right now, and by the way, you can access Twitter in your web browser, which I'm using Google Chrome, which you may know I'm a big fan of. You can also use applications on either your iPhone, let me turn off the ringer on this, and your iPad or Android devices. So it's across just about all the platforms, of course Windows and Macintosh, and again all the browsers will support it. So right now I'm in the browser on Chrome at twitter.com, and I'm logged into my account. And when you're logged into your account, you you will see what's called the feed, the main feed here on the left, which is the tweets or messages that are from whoever you are following. And this is a key point about Twitter, is the information that's going into your feed here is only information from people that you have chosen to follow. And if you're following them and for some reason they're putting up a bunch of junk that you don't want to see, you can just simply unfollow them. So over time you can tune your list of people that you're following to where you end up with a very good feed of information. It doesn't happen overnight, but it will happen if you slowly add people that you follow, and then if somebody is putting up information you don't like, you unfollow, and through that process you'll stick with the ones whose information that they're putting up that you like to read. And typically what a tweet or a message will be it's limited to 140 characters because that was what text messaging was originally limited to, and that's how Twitter got its start, was with text messaging. But anyway, it's a micro blog, so it's short messages. And the reason I say blog is short for web log. The newest messages are always at the top. So you're limited to 140 characters, but you can put a link in there to, for example, a blog article or a website or whatever. So it's really not that limiting. You can have a little teaser and then put a link and then click, and then that can link to a lot more information. So think of these Twitter messages as just the little summary of what you want to talk about, and then a link to the rest of the content. Now sometimes you can get your entire message in 140 characters, in which case you don't have to link to anything. Now, so that's the messages that appear here in the feed. Now if I see a message that I really like, there's an option here to retweet it. I try not to abuse that. I do it when it's something that I really think is important, but I will do it. I will retweet. I don't like my Twitter messages to be just a whole bunch of retweets. I like to have it mixed with my original content and my original information, and then some retweets of information that I think is important. So if you look here, if I go to, I'm on my main twitter.com with me logged in, I'm seeing everybody's tweets. In the upper right here, there's a little link that says your tweets. If I click on that, it's going to show everything that I've tweeted recently. Again, with the most recent one was 2 hours ago. and it was a retweet. And then, actually, it wasn't a retweet. It was a reference to something that I saw on the internet, which, in other words, I'm sharing something that I saw on the internet. You'll see if you're surfing around the web and you're looking at an article or something, a lot of times they'll have a little button that you can tweet it. So you can tweet out whatever it is that you're reading. The next one down is a retweet. It's got the little symbol here showing it's a retweet. And that was something by Guy Kawasaki, who comes up with some really cool stuff. And then there's a link to the Mount Airy Mayfest photos and video clips and so forth that I just put up yesterday. So there's a link there. And then next to it, you'll notice what's called a few hashtags. That's the # and then a keyword. So I've got pound festival, pound event, pound Maryland. So if I click on Maryland there, that will take me to a listing of recent tweets that have the hashtag or keyword tag Maryland. So they're all listed here. These all have Maryland. So that's one way to kind of filter this fire hose of information. Twitter is a huge amount of information, and the whole key is filtering it and getting the information that you want. And that's what I'm kind of going over here, and that's what you'll learn over time. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on Facebook real quick. We'll just touch on Facebook just for a moment. Facebook can be used in similar ways to Twitter, but the biggest difference with Facebook is most Facebook profiles are either private or semi-private, and whereas Twitter, most of them are public. So most people that have a Twitter feed, you can follow it. It's not locked down in any way. It's designed to be public. And I'm a big advocate of information on the internet being public. So that's why I really like Twitter, because I can follow the people I choose to follow, get information from them and learn from them and so forth. And I don't have to put in a friend request and have them approve it and go through all the Facebook hoops. And also Facebook, for me, is a little bit awkward to work with, and I find that I don't really get that much valuable information out of it. So it really is something that's best just for communicating between friends and family and sharing a few photos and stuff like that, but it's not for serious information like Twitter and communications like Twitter can be used for. So we'll just touch on that real quick. So and the other thing I want to touch on before I go on with Twitter is Convor. And let me click here so we can go to the main page here. Convor.com is a new service, relatively new, CONVORE.com, and it, I think, is fantastic. I think it has some huge potential, and we won't spend a lot of time on it here, but you should definitely take a look at it. You can create a user account, and then you can also create what's called groups, and the groups in there can be private or public. And you can use it for communications, for sharing information. If you go to convor.com/Craig, C-R-A-I-G, you'll see one that I've set up kind of as a demonstration to show how this really cool new service can be used. And I think this thing, if they scale this up properly and if it takes off, this thing could be the killer app that is a amalgamation of Facebook, Gmail, Twitter, all the best of all these things wrapped into one, and it could be really a cool communications and collaboration tool. So that's Convor. Definitely take a look at that, and I'll probably do a separate how-to on Convor at some point. I'm going to click on my next tab, and again, I'm using tabs here in Google Chrome. You see how efficient it is, how I can snap from one thing to the other, boom, 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 and I don't have to keep closing and reopening tabs or windows or whatever. So I clicked on this tab and I'm on iJustine's Twitter feed. Now, if you know somebody's Twitter handle, and by the way, when you set up your Twitter account, if you don't already have one, give a lot of thought to your Twitter handle. You want to try to have it be the same as your website address. Like my website address is CraigShipp, so it's CraigShipp.com. So my main Twitter account, by the way, you can have more than one of them. My main Twitter account is CraigShipp. So they match. So you're not confusing people with what your brand is or isn't. Okay? So try to get those to match and try to make sure your email and everything all matches up. So iJustine the brand that she uses is the letter I, and then Justine, which is her first name. And she is, the reason I've stopped on her tab here is I highly recommend you follow her because she's been using Twitter since probably day one. She's very good at it. She leverages the platform as good or better than anybody else I know. And she's created her own new media little empire by using Twitter and YouTube, and not so much Facebook, but mainly Twitter and YouTube, to build up a big following. She's got right now 1,200,000 plus followers on Twitter, which is a pretty huge number for an individual, young lady to have following her on Twitter. And she's very talented, so I recommend you take a look at her work. Her website address is iJustine.com. iJustine.com matches iJustine on Twitter. So again, she's following that guideline of keeping that brand name the same across all the different platforms. So I'm going to go on to the next one here. This is Twit. You'll learn a lot about technology from Leo Laporte, and their brand name is Twit, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech. And again, he's got twitter.com/twit is his handle on Twitter. Next one, Sarah Lane. Highly recommend you follow her. She also works with Leo Laporte, and I've been following her for a long time, and she is a sharp cookie. The other one that you want to follow, and I'll put it on the screen here, is Amber Mack. And her name's Amber MacArthur, but her brand name is Amber Mack. And it's Amber Mack on Twitter. She's also the author of the book Power Friending, and she goes into detail about using things like Twitter, Facebook, so on. Then I'm going to go to, here's my Twitter feed again, twitter.com/CraigShipp, and you can see I've got almost 4,000 tweets that I've put out there. And I don't just tweet all the time. I don't tweet what I'm having for lunch, what I'm having for breakfast, like some people do. I try to tweet things that I think are meaningful. And so I've done this 4,000 times in the last several years. Over the years, I've built up to where I've got a little over 6,000 followers, and I like to think that they enjoy my content. That number's been fairly steady. It went up a little higher when I was doing even a little more with Twitter than I am now, and then it pulled back a little bit, and now it's been holding pretty steady. I lose followers and I pick up followers. They come and they go. But I prefer people follow me if they really enjoy what I'm doing. I mean, don't waste your time following my feed if you don't find the things that I'm posting interesting. And I do the same thing. If I don't find somebody's postings interesting, I stop following them, because otherwise it's just noise in your stream. If you're following people that you don't really want that information, it's just cluttering up your feed, and it's more things for you to look at that are superfluous, that don't mean anything to you. So if I go to the next tab here, this should be lists. Okay, good. So you can create lists. This is one way to organize your Twitter feed. And this is kind of important, is if you are following, for example, I follow a bunch of people here in Frederick County. I have a list for Frederick that I call Frederick, where I put those people in. I have a list called Community that are all community-related people that tweet. I have a list called Social that are people that are big in social media, that are the leaders in that field. I have a list called Scobalizer that he is another leader in technology. So then I have one called New Media, and that's all people that, I'll click on that. And these are all people that are in the new media space. By new media, I mean things like Twitter, internet broadcasting, the newer ways, the newer, more efficient ways of communicating and doing things on the internet. Leo Laporte's a real leader in that with his Twit network. As you know, I spend a lot of time down in Florida, so I have a Florida list here. These are all people that are involved with Florida in one way or another. I even have an iJustine list, and so these are all people that are somehow connected with iJustine. So you can create a list, and then you can add people that you follow to one or more lists. They can be a member of several lists. And this is just a way to sort them out. Now, I'm going to also go now to TweetDeck. This is a free service that you can set up a TweetDeck account. TweetDeck was recently bought by Twitter, so I hope they keep it going. There are rumors that they might shut it down or consolidate it into Twitter or whatever, but I hope they keep it going. This allows you to further organize your Twitter feeds and create columns where here's my main home feed, here's my Frederick feed, here's my Web Innovators by Scobalizer feed. These are all based on lists. Here's my main Scobalizer feed. Here's my inbox, so these are messages that I get from people. And then here's tweets that reference me. By the way, this is something that's kind of important, is when you're composing a tweet, and I'm going to go back to the main Twitter page here. When you're on Twitter.com and you're logged in, you've got a box here that you click on to compose a tweet. And if I'm going to refer to somebody, I will put their Twitter handle with an @ at it. So I would say, I'm doing a screencast. They want that hyphenated. Okay, I'm doing a screencast and referring to @iJustine @AmberMac @Twit. Let's see, who else? Oh, Sarah Lane. It must be SARAH Lane. I don't want to put this incorrectly, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this other tab where I had her up here, I think, before. Yeah, here it is. SARAH. Okay. Sarah Lane. Yep. Thought that was right. So anyway, go back here. Make sure I get her handle right, because this is going to link to her. Once I post this tweet, these are going to be hot links that people can click on and go to her feed. So I said I'm doing a screencast and referring to iJustine @AmberMac @Twit @Sarah Lane as some of the leaders in tech. Okay, and I want to also put Scobalizer. Let's see here. And one thing about Scobal is I don't understand why he used Scobalizer instead of something a little bit easier. So I'm going to go to lists and view all. And Scobalizer. So here it is. Lane and Scobalizer as some of the leaders in tech. Okay, now, and I've got 16 characters free in this, which is good because that allows space for somebody to retweet. You really don't want to use your full 140 characters if you can avoid it, because you want to leave space for somebody to retweet it, because it's going to put their handle in there. You usually want like around 17 characters, 16 will work probably. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this up. I'm going to proofread it again. I'm doing a screencast and referring to @iJustine @AmberMac @Twit @Sarah Lane and @Scobalizer as some of the leaders in tech. Okay. Now I'm going to edit that as some of the, I'm going to say some of the new media leaders. New media leaders. Okay. And I'm going to say, I'm going to take as some of the, I'm going to say, I'm just going to say as new media leaders. So I'm going to give me more characters for the retweet. So I'm going to it reads now, I'm doing a screencast and referring to @iJustine, @Embermac, @Twit, @Sarah Lane, and @Scobleizer as new media leaders. Okay, and then I'm going to hit tweet. Okay, so that's up, and if you notice all of these refers where I put @Sarah Lane, @Scobleizer, @iJustine, if I click on that, it will take me, it will show me their profile and all. So it is linking to their Twitter account. So that's one way that you find people to follow, is if somebody that is a trusted source of yours refers to somebody in a tweet, then you can click on that Twitter handle and check that person out. And then if, for example, I wasn't already following Robert Scoble, there'd be a little button that says follow, and I'd click on it and I'd be following him. So all you have to do is go to somebody's Twitter feed, twitter.com/CraigShipp, and if you're not already following me, there's a little button there. Just click on follow, and then once you're following me, you can also add me to a list that you've made if you want to do that to organize it a little bit. And then you're done. Then you're following me. And then if you don't like the things I'm putting up, then unfollow me at some point. So it's pretty straightforward, pretty easy to use, and you can even see who I'm following. I can see, for example, I'm here on Robert Scoble's page. He's following 31,000 people. I can click on that and I can see who he is following. And if there's people in here that I think are really interesting, I can just click on follow and follow them. See all these people he's following? See if there's one that I want to follow. Let's see here. See, I don't like to just follow anybody because I'm already following a lot of people, and so I'm not going to just click on one of these. Of course, my phone has to ring. I'm going to pause this just for a second. Grab that. Okay, I actually did find one that I want to follow here, and it's the people that do the application Acorn, which is a graphic arts program, editing program, whatever, that's kind of interesting. And you'll notice here Michael Arrington down here, TechCrunch founder. I was already following him, so there's a big thing here that says following. So, and if I hover my mouse over it, the choice becomes unfollow. So if I were to click on that, I would then not be following him anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Acorn one here. And now I'm following them. Okay, so again, Scobleizer was following them. Now I'm following them. So just like that, I've added another entity that I'm following on that will now be appearing in my Twitter feed, which I call my news feed. It's basically where I get my information. Okay, so trying to think what else I need to cover on this. I'm sure there are things that I've not touched on, but just to recap, the whole idea of Twitter is you set up a Twitter account, you pick a username that is still available. Oh, by the way, this is important. The easiest way to check to see if a username is available is go to twitter.com/whatever username you want. So for example, I'm going to go to twitter.com/ASGTRCERS, which spells nothing. I'm going to hit enter, and that is available. So if you wanted that name, which means absolutely nothing, that is available. So that's the easiest way to check, is just go to twitter.com/whatever the name is you want and see what comes up. If a thing comes up that says, sorry, that page doesn't exist, then you might be able to get it. It doesn't mean 100% you can get it. You have to sign up for Twitter and put that in as your username and see, and they'll tell you if you can have it. It might be one that they're holding for some reason, or that's locked down or whatever. But generally speaking, if a page comes up that says, sorry, that page doesn't exist, that means that username is available. Okay, so once you know the username you want, you just go to twitter.com and you sign up. And let me pull this other window over here, the Safari window. this is what you're going to get. You're going to get a welcome screen like this that has new to Twitter. Put your full name, your email, your password, you click sign up. Then they're going to go through a process, and they're going to give you a chance at some point to pick a username. And that is what's important. Is that username is what's going to be your Twitter URL. So again, give a lot of thought to that. Make sure that you get the name that you really want, the best name possible that's available. And if you need any help with any of this, always feel free to contact me through my website, CraigShipp.com. I have a contact form there, CraigShipp.com, or contact me through Twitter, Twitter.com/CraigShipp. So start using it. It's a great tool. You don't have to spend a ton of time on it, just a little bit of time. I check my Twitter usually on my iPhone when there's dead time, when I'm out sitting in a waiting room, or I've even done it sitting at a long red light. You know, anytime there's dead time that you can't really do anything else productive, you can go in real quick and check your Twitter account and see what the people that you're following, see what valuable information they are sharing, and you can take a look. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. So that's my little how-to on this marvelous service called Twitter.